not so much hereditary, but it does run in families.
Oh, okay.
But it was straight strabismus, and then 2% of the people with strabismus have this Duane syndrome.
Okay.
So, yeah, so we're having fun with that.
Always something.
It's hard to watch a little 5-year-old kid.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
had my surgery when I was 50. My doctor says, yeah, you're the rich one. Most of the kids I operate on are under 10. He says, every once in a while, one slips through the cracks and never finds out that there's a treatment for it.
Yeah.
And at 50, my brain and my eye quit talking to each other. So
Yeah.
I slowed up.
Oh, wow. Wow, okay.
But it took me 8 months to find that there was a cure.
Yeah.
Because we kept thinking, oh, it was my prescriptions.
Yeah,
They weren't
yeah.
grading the lenses right. It was this, it was that, it was that.
Got you all set up for
Finally, my optometrist said, you know, I think you need to see a specialist.
Yeah,
And he sent
yeah.
me this guy. He's like, oh, yeah. He says, you should have had this fixed 50 years ago.
Yeah. Well, last time I went to an optometrist was when I had a piece of glass in my eye, and I kept trying to crawl away from him while he was trying to pull it out. Your brain says sit still, but your body goes you know. So anyway.
I know Doug had that. They did it.
I hate that. Wrong.
Yeah, yeah,
Feel it, and there's no pain.
yeah. There's
I
even
had
then,
both
just-
eyes done, cataracts removed, and then I had implants.
Did you do the
Well,
implants?
yeah.
I did 2 implants, multifocal implants, no pain at all.
How do you like them?
I love them.
How cool.
Oh, man, I don't have to wear glasses. Well, hi. How are you, sir?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
looking good enough? What you up
That's
to?
why my doctor used to tell me, he says, just wait for those cataracts to get bad enough, and then we can really
Darn.
fix you.
Yeah,
Ron,
yes.
Ron was spreading it around.
Yeah, there you go.
So we're gonna get a roundabout at Perkinsville this year.
This year?
This year.
Is that the
Semco gave
latest
us
medicine?
$900,000 to help with the roundabout.
Wow.
So it looks like we'll give Perkinsville this year.
Are you going to announce that tonight?
Well, I can.
Cool. Coolness. I like it.
So it's going in before 4?
Yeah, right now it looks like, they're probably going together pretty
Yeah,
close
yeah.
because they like to do 2 of them that way.
Yeah.
Got everybody slowed down.
It's on the 14th, it's on this year's,
Calendar. Oh, how cool.
we'll see how it goes.
Did Robert tell you? A private fund wants to put the condos underneath that when we go
Yeah.
ahead for water.
So we're gonna get a lot of help doing this too.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's already far up, why not do it then?
Why not do it then? Yeah.
Especially when somebody with money wants to do it for the town.
When we get around to it, I'm gonna talk about Citizens Academy.
Oh, good, good. Oh, you're going to do that during the reports?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And now, I looked at the Citizens Academy deal,
Oh,
and it didn't, where'd I put that?
I don't know, you want this one?
Yeah, okay, thank you. I looked at the Citizens Academy deal, and it doesn't,
next page. Next page talks about,
You're right there, second session.
second session.
first
Okay,
session is introduction, come in and say hello,
Okay,
and there we go. There you are.
okay, so
And it's gonna be here.
it's gonna, that's what it looked like. It looked
gonna be
like it
here.
was gonna be here.
It's gonna be here.
Wow, okay,
That way we have all the fancy stuff. So
all right.
you wanna talk about the mayor, manager, and all this stuff?
Talk about how I get no respect.
You ought to start with that. You know, normally I don't get no respect, but now they put me on this thing.
Keep that one.
I'll see you today.
Well, Mayor Dangerfield, how do you really feel?
So, the first one is just kind of a welcome introduction here. And I've got you, the chairperson and you, just kind of say hello, and then you run up to people.
Okay. Easy enough. So I just do a welcome on the first session.
27.
Second session you're on for, talk about the contract.
Okay. Now, You're gonna have all the council members give a short spiel? What's my time period? I got lots of questions. Do I have like 15 minutes or?
Of course.
Okay, I'll put down 15.
Just put down 15 minutes, and if you run over, 3 minutes.
Okay, cool.
They'll throw darts at you then.
Okay, so 15, I do a short spiel and ask for questions back at the 10-minute
Here's the
mark?
council, how many members it is, and
Okay.
what's a council manager time government, and
Oh, okay. Council manager,
form of government, what the council's responsibilities are, you legislative and non-operating.
yeah, responsibilities. Okay, just an
Yeah,
overview.
we have committees, this thing, and then I'm having town clerk to talk about committees.
Ah, cool, cool, that'll be good.
Good evening, sir, how are you?
Doing good.
Looking good, thank you.
Good evening.
I'm good.
Hello, how you doing?
Fine, and you?
Doing good, thank you.
Good.
All right.
I love it. Fine, and you?
Doing all right. Busy, busy.
Oh, gosh. Tell me.
What? No, no nodding off? Oh, okay.
Oh, gosh, where do these go now?
You're keeping that up so we can't read your notes.
That's right. No cheat.
No cheating.
There's no pictures on it. How it functions. Okay.
I know. Lots of goodies.
Okay, you guys ready to light the fuse?
Let's light it, kick the
Okay.
tires and light the fires.
You guys ready?
You guys ready? You guys ready? Okay. Make sure your mics are on.
4, 3, 2.
We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Please rise and remove your hats for the invocation.
Our Father who art in heaven, we're thankful for the opportunity to come and participate in this council meeting, that we're able to guide and direct the affairs of this town. We ask thee that thou might have thy spirit upon us, that we might go ahead and discern the things that we need to discern and go ahead and direct the town in a forward motion. We're thankful for our military, for their diligentness and the opportunity to give us this free land that we live in and we cherish. We're thankful for the town and the citizens thereof, for their support and their concern as to what we are doing. We ask thee, Heavenly Father, to watch over us and protect us. And these things we say in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. May we have the roll call?
Most certainly. Good evening, Mayor and Council. All right. Councilmember McKee. Here. Councilmember Turner.
Here.
Councilmember Wojcik.
Here.
Councilmember Hatch. Here. Councilmember Best.
Here.
Vice Mayor Croft.
Here.
And Mayor Marley.
Here. We have no introductions, presentations, or proclamations, so we'll proceed directly to call to the public. Call to the public is an opportunity for the public to address the council concerning a subject that is not on the agenda. Public comment is encouraged. If individuals are limited to speak for 3 minutes, total time for call to the public may be up to 30 minutes per meeting. Council action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, scheduling the matter for further consideration and decision at a later date, or responding to criticism. Do we have anyone for call to the public? Okay, no one for call to the public. We will go ahead and close and move to response to the public. Response to the public is an opportunity for the mayor to inform the public about how town officials address matters raised during call to the public at a previous meeting, and we have no response to the public from previous meetings. Moving on to current event summaries and reports. This item is for information only. The mayor, any council member, or town manager may present a brief summary or report of current events or ask a staff member to provide the same. Presentation on information requested by the mayor and council will be made and questions answered. No action will be taken. Do we have any council committee reports on this side? No. Any committee reports on this side? Did you wish to speak about Citizens Academy?
Yes, I've given you a handout about the Citizens Academy. You can take a look at it, and it's an outline of the 8 meetings that we're going to have. The first one is this Thursday, and it's at the training room for the chamber at 2 South and 89, and it's an introduction. Looks like we have 18 participants. If you can come by there, it starts at 6:30 and goes till 8. If you can come by as a council member and for the introduction portion of it, that would really be appreciated. We'd like to introduce as many council members as possible. The second session is going to take place right here in the chamber, and it's going to talk about town administration, mayor, town council, town manager, town clerk, and those administrative things. So those are the first 2 sessions. But the first one is very important because it's the introduction, and we're going to introduce the academy participants. Then we've got a short quiz asking them, what do you know about Chino Valley? We'll see what they know. And then we're going to have a presentation by the Chino Valley Historical Society.
Okay, excellent. I would encourage you to check out this Citizens Academy. It's a good program. Do we have a town manager report?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. I'd like to announce to the council and the community that the Arizona Commerce Authority grant application is in the mail. After a full council study session and council's action to authorize staff to apply for the grant, the materials are on the way to the Commerce Authority, and we're hopeful to receive favorable consideration and an award. Should we be awarded funds, we will bring the award materials and the program requirements back to council for consideration and possible action to authorize staff to receive and put the funds to work. Our best project cost estimates yields that the town may receive up to $360,000 in grant funds from the Commerce Authority for the purpose of extending water and sewer lines to Old Home Manor Industrial Park. Acceptance of the grant will require a town match of 10% or $36,000. Funding for that purpose would come from reserves held in the Capital Improvement Project Fund, which was authorized by council in Resolution 04-711 on June 24th of 2004 to fund water and sewer extensions and grant programs. This information and more will be provided to town council should we receive an award from the authority. Let's keep our fingers crossed and hope that we can bring some of our citizens' hard-spent tax dollars back to Chino Valley. To date, we have applications in an amount of about $900,000 to the Commerce Authority, the EDA, CDBG, the Commerce Authority, CDBG, and the Housing Rehabilitation Program. We expect with the Commerce Authority's invitation to apply that we will receive the $900,000 that we've got applied for at this point. We are also submitting materials to EDA with council's approval for $500,000, which would bring our total applications to $1.4 million this year in grant fund applications to bring tax dollars back to Chino Valley to put them to work here.
Good, excellent, excellent.
I do have something.
Yes, sir.
At the SIMPO meeting last week, SIMPO approved, along with ADOT, to add $900,000 to our roundabout at Perkinsville, so and it's put on the schedule for 2014, so we'll see where that goes, which is really good. And also, Fain Group received the contract to widen 89, and they should be starting very shortly.
Okay, that's fan construction?
Fan, yeah.
Okay, fan construction. And, all right, excellent. I was going to say something about a statue of our vice mayor in the roundabout at Perkinsville Road, but I wouldn't.
You don't want to
I
scare
wouldn't- I wouldn't
the
do it.
drivers.
Okay, we don't want any wrecks down there. All right, excellent. If there's no other committee reports from our council, continuing onward to our consent agenda. All those items listed below are considered to be routine and may be enacted by one motion. Any council member may request to remove an item from consent agenda to be considered and discussed separately. Do we have any consent agenda items to remove? Yes, ma'am.
6C?
6C, okay. Any others? Okay, any others on this side? Okay, we will move consent agenda item 6C down to after our executive session amongst our action items. And Ms. Lewis, may we have our consent agenda items?
6A is consideration and possible action to approve the February 11, 2014 regular meeting minutes. 6B is consideration and possible action to approve resolution number 14-1026, supporting the restoration of Arizona Highway User Revenue Fund distribution to cities, towns, counties, and state highways.
Okay. The chair would entertain a motion.
Move to approve consent agenda items A and B.
Second it?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 7, executive session. Council may vote to recess the regular meeting and hold an executive session which will not be open to the public for the following purposes. Pursuant to ARS 38-431.03A4 for discussion or consultation with the town attorney in order to consider its position and instruct the town attorney regarding the town's position in pending or contemplated litigation or in settlement discussions conducted in order to avoid or resolve litigation in the matter of Cortez versus Town of Chino Valley. Mayor Marley. Just a brief explanation to our audience. We have we voted a couple of meetings back to move our executive session to the beginning of our council meetings because we've had citizens asking why is it that we make decisions that are of such monumental importance so late at night when everybody's tired and ready to go home. Hopefully this will help us to move through the executive session fairly quickly. Hopefully tonight's item will be fairly quick, and then we'll be right back out and hopefully take action. The chair would entertain a motion.
Move that we go into executive session.
Second.
Okay, a motion in 2 seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Adjourn to executive session. Hopefully you can go get a drink of water in the hallway, and we'll be right back.
Then we take a break for coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Oh, my God.
right, well, everyone's seated. We'll go ahead and call our meeting back in order. We're out of the world's shortest executive session for the town of Chino Valley.
We moved, I'm going to make a couple of motions. We moved item 6C from the executive session into, under action items. I'm going to ask that we move 6C after item A so we can vote on 8A.
8A, do we have a second?
Second it?
Okay, we have a motion and a second to move consent agenda item C, which we moved out of consent agenda, to move it after item 8A so that we can address the proposed agreement with Cortez Enterprise. We have a motion and we have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll be dealing with item 8A, consideration and possible action to approve the proposed agreement with Cortez Enterprises Incorporated in settlement of claims and contemplated litigation.
Move to approve the proposed agreement with Cortez Enterprises Incorporated in the settlement of claims and contemplated litigation.
Second it?
Okay, we have a motion and 2 seconds. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right. That's
That's
good.
how many years?
13?
13
Yeah, I think
years.
13 years.
There's
So,
some questions, Mayor?
yes, sir, we had, this is extremely out of order, once you've had a motion and all, but yes, sir, if you would come up and speak your question, if you would. Like I said, this is irregular, but knowing you, you'd never let me rest. Yes, sir.
Council members, I'm just curious what the dollar figure on this is.
The dollar figure on this, I will have to answer back to you next,
Yeah, I don't remember.
at our next meeting, 2 weeks from now.
Remember?
Thank you.
Maybe Robert remembers.
Pardon me?
Maybe Robert remembers.
Okay.
Yes, Mayor, if it's okay.
Okay, yes, sir.
There's no monetary amount specified in the agreement to be conveyed to Cortez in this settlement.
Okay,
I
anyway,
think the attorney here is.
the land, we can address this 2 weeks from now.
Sure.
But,
We can get
what
together.
we'll do is we'll do it through our call to the public process. Like I said, this is highly irregular, but, okay, no sweat, no sweat.
Thank you.
Continuing onward, item 6C is, has been moved from consent agenda. Consideration and possible action to authorize the Chino Valley Police Department to apply for, accept, and expend funds for a 2014 Highway Safety Plan grant from the Governor's Office of Highway Safety in an amount not to exceed $25,000. Funds to come from miscellaneous police grants expenditure excuse me, line in the grants fund for fiscal year 2014/2015 with no matching funds required by the town.
My question?
If you would,
Can
go
I,
ahead and ask your question, if you would.
Mr. Town Manager, Ms. Attorney, police officer, I generally like us to get grants, but what we're looking at here is a blank form, as near as I can tell. And you're asking us to approve a blank form?
Mr. Sham, if you would tell everyone your name and then,
We're asking to get permission to apply for,
It says apply, accept, et cetera.
correct.
At least we generally see a filled-out form at some stage of the game in order to approve it.
It hasn't been completed yet.
So how can we, I mean, we can approve you applying for it, but we haven't seen the form. I mean, we don't have the information. You know, we're seeing more and more of this from the staff, these blank forms, and I'm a little bit uncomfortable, you know, giving them blanket of approve, accept, at least on the one that you reported on earlier today. We're going to see it before we accept it and agree. What we've got here is a blank form. You know, I'm not
That's the
accustomed to seeing
application
that.
that's
It's a
attached
blank
to it.
application
Correct.
with no information on it.
yes, sir.
Maybe we should change the recommended action.
Hang on for just a second.
Maybe we should change the recommended action to apply instead of accept and expend funds.
Okay. We
Would that-
could
would that
we could
satisfy it?
modify that.
Yeah.
Okay?
So essentially, all you have is the go-ahead to apply for it, and then you'd have to come back, accept, and expend funds.
Okay.
Does that
Excellent.
meet your needs?
Yes, we had the,
If I-
Excuse me for a second. Yes, sir.
If I could, our standard procedure in applying for grant funds would be to seek council's approval to try and secure the funds. And if we are graced with an award, to bring it back to council in order to seek council's authorization to receive the funds. And at that point in time, we would have specific award amounts and all of the specific programmatic requirements for receiving the funds and doing something with them. I think the staff report was pretty clear that it's a safety plan grant from the governor's office. And Vince, was there a match with this?
there's no
He said
match.
no match.
There's no match. So what we'd like to do is apply for the funds. If we're graced with the good luck to get an award, we want to bring a description of that program to the council and ask the council if they want us to engage this program and use the funds.
Okay.
Well, I apologize, it isn't completed.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
We've obtained this grant since 2005. It's the same grant process, the same,
Okay.
for the exact same purpose as every other year since 2005. So we're just in the process of gathering all the stats and things like that for the process. They increased the deadline on us. Usually it's June for the deadline. They made it a shorter deadline period for us. So we kind of got caught behind the 8 ball on that to get this through. So this is just, mainly what we need to do is permission to apply for the grant.
You bet. And I believe Vice Mayor Croft's motion, I think will get us there. And as we apply for future grants, if our town manager, if you would, please make sure that we have it worded for apply for.
Absolutely.
Thank
Sorry
you.
for the mistake.
You bet. No problem at all. Mr. Croft.
Move to authorize the Chino Valley Police Department to apply for funds for a 2014 Highway Safety Plan grant from the Governor's Office of Highway Safety in the amount not to exceed $25,000. Funds to come from miscellaneous police grants expenditure line in the grants fund for fiscal year 2014-2015 with no matching funds required by the town.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a
Second.
second? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving forward to item B, under action items, consideration and possible action with regard to establishing guidelines for council, town attorney interaction. I had put this together and wanted to present it to council. You'll see under situation and analysis, I'll go ahead and read it for the benefit of our audience. After talking with Ken Strobeck at the League of Cities and Towns regarding guidelines for interaction between town councils and town attorneys, the mayor received the attached article from the League. Section 2 in the article encourages municipalities to develop a clear set of guidelines regarding who can contact a municipal attorney and under what circumstances it is appropriate to do so. By establishing such guidelines, the town can make the most effective use of the town attorney's time and expertise. When I spoke with Mr. Strobeck, I asked him, I said, what's our best practices that the majority of the cities and towns do in regards to these items? And if it please the council, I'll go ahead and I'll give you the best practice that Mr. Strobeck gave me, and then if we as a council decide that we wish to deviate or modify it, go any other direction, we're more than welcome to, but I'll go ahead and I'll give you the best practice. Question number 2, question number 1, from whom should the attorney receive instruction? At executive sessions and regular meetings, best practice, or the most common practice, is that they receive instruction from the entire council. Receiving instruction during the regular work week. He said it was a combination. Some towns use the mayor and town manager. Some use the mayor only. Some use the town manager only. But he said the most common practice was the mayor and the town manager. Question number 2, how should the attorney address individual questions? The attorneys, if they're asked for a legal opinion from one of the council members, say one of our council members calls up and asks for a legal opinion regarding an item that's going to be coming up on an agenda, if they're asked for the legal opinion, most common practice is that the attorney writes the question in an email and sends a copy to the entire council so that all the council knows the result of that question and that legal opinion. Should the attorney address individual questions regarding or in dealing with individual council members? He said regarding specific agenda items, if for example, one of our council members wanted to put an agenda item on for this next council meeting, the attorney, as a rule, contacts that particular member if they have a question regarding that specific agenda item. So as I said, those are our best practice. Item A is usually full council. Item B is mayor and town manager or a combination thereof. Item 2A is if it's a legal opinion, they send the copy to the full council. And item 2B, questions from the attorney to individual council members. The attorney asks that individual council member about a specific agenda item. Yes, ma'am?
Pardon me, I'm a little confused about your response to B as to when the mayor and the town manager would be involved in making a decision. I understand that there are certain situations where that would be necessary, but just to say blanketly that during the week they could be the ones to decide seems a little, it allows some things to go on, and also it doesn't address our staff asking questions of the attorney, because they're routinely asking questions of the attorney.
Right.
So I'm a little confused as to what you mean by B. I mean, when would and again, I understand that. I know that in my prior term, there was a decision made regarding a court case by our town manager, the mayor, and the town attorney, which resulted in a fairly bad outcome and cost the town a lot of money. And I knew at the time they could do that, but I just wonder under what circumstances we would be looking at the mayor and the manager making that decision. And again, certainly the manager's making that decision with respect to our staff routinely on a day-to-day basis as to when to contact the attorney.
Okay, first of all, addressing the staff question, I did not even address that with Mr. Strobeck. All I was interested in was our council interaction with the attorney. And as I said, in item 2 of the article, about halfway down, it says it can be helpful for both the attorney and municipal officials if the governing body develops clear guidelines regarding who can contact the municipal attorney and under what circumstances it is appropriate to do so. When I questioned Mr. Strobeck regarding during the week, it's obvious when we're in session, we as a council give our entire our direction to the town's attorney. But during the week, if the town's attorney has a question, for example, should she be available for a study session this coming Thursday night? I don't really feel that the council would find it the best use of our time or the attorney's time to have a full-blown meeting and discuss in open meeting with 24-hour notice whether the town attorney should be here. So
Yeah,
yes, ma'am.
that wouldn't be my question. Certainly that makes sense, and I would expect that, but in phrasing it as during the week, it would open the door for, and I'm not saying it would be you, because we're making this a policy, but it could be misused in the future by someone to make decisions for the entire council, when it could be delayed until the council meeting. And that would be my concern about that language. Obviously, from your response, we all have the right to contact the attorney and ask questions. It's not at any time. It's not something we're limited to. We have to be careful how we do that. Of course, we don't want to run up a lot of bills for the town. But, as I say, it's a little bit hard when you phrase during the week as the only language. And I don't want to be too limiting either, because we can't estimate what's going on. But that's kind of a dangerous, not necessarily for you, but, we're making it policy, so.
You bet. Sooner or later, we have to, as a council, allow a certain amount of leeway in order to continue to move forward as an entity. I just did some quick homework, and we had 2 council meetings and a total of 31 minutes discussion trying to decide on whether we were going to have meetings or not. And it was, we have to be able to move forward. We have to have a certain level of trust. I'm not saying an open credit card, but I'm simply saying during the week, small ticket items, and I'd have to have the discretion on that. Small ticket items, if the attorney calls up and says, Mayor, should we change such and such contract? No, that's something that we need to go full council. But when she calls up and asks, Mayor, should I be at such and such a meeting, or any, as I said, small ticket items, apparently best practice for the majority of towns is to allow the mayor and town manager together to deal with those things. But if, as a council, you want to have a 24-hour notice and do it, we can do that, so.
I just, again, would wonder if we couldn't use a little bit different language to define it better, rather than, I'm sure you don't want to say small ticket items, but,
Then we get into discretion, then we have to define everything.
well, and I think that's important, Chris. I think
Okay.
it's important that, not for you necessarily, but we are making a policy for the future. I mean, as I said, that there was a decision made that cost us a lot of money.
bet.
And I think it could have been delayed, and we ended up in court over it. Not only did it cost us cash to the other side, we ended up having to pay our attorneys, and it was very, very costly.
You bet.
And it created a delay that maybe if the full council had been called into session, we might not have had the problem. It's hard to know.
You bet.
But
You
I
bet.
think that maybe some language ought to be in there as to, maybe we could table it and come back with some proposed language for
Okay.
that section, if that would be acceptable.
Easy enough. Mr. Croft?
There has to be some leeway for the mayor and the town manager to make decisions during the week. I certainly don't want to be called up 3 or 4 times during the week for somebody to make a decision. So I'm happy, or I'm not happy, but I'm satisfied with the way it is. If it looks like it's out of control, then we can always change the policy. But I just don't see this council, I don't see this mayor and town manager making those kind of decisions. So
Okay.
I'm happy with the way it.
Okay, so we could address the policy later if we needed to, if it was being abused. Mr. Turner?
Well, my question was going to be for Councilwoman Hatch, was if she could give an example of what she's, leading up to. But as she said, she'd rather have some time to maybe put some things down. So,
What we've got here is one man's, if I may respond.
You bet, you bet.
We have a general opinion from somebody who represents a much larger entity. I would not suggest defining it, but I would hesitate because of the fact I don't want to limit the mayor too much. If we could just, table it long enough to come up with just some brief language. I'm not talking gigantic, that we could do a little research real quick and find some acceptable language. I'm not suggesting, Mr. Croft, that we all be called up, but there are instances where, there is potential for misuse, and once it's happened, you can't unring the bell,
I understand.
Yeah.
Cool enough. All right. Any others wish to weigh in on this? No? Okay. I'm okay with bringing it back up later on if you wish, and we can do some wordsmithing on it. We don't have to use the word big-ticket items, but we do have to somehow define where that leeway starts and stops, I suppose. So.
Since I'm going to move, I'm satisfied with the way it is. I'm going to recommend to approve the guidelines as they were written, and then we can vote one way or another.
Okay. Easy enough. My vice mayor, you're moving that we vote on it as it's written?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have a second? Okay. Motion fails for lack of second. All right. Ms. Hatch, your motion?
Okay, I move that we table this item. It would be to the next agenda if I just
Okay.
table it, if
Okay.
that 2-week, 3-week period is sufficient, to wordsmith and find some appropriate language
Okay.
for this item.
Okay.
Could we have a committee maybe to do that? Couple of people, could I work with you, or?
Okay, I was just going to ask if our town
Attorney?
attorney, Ms. Smiley, would it be okay if
That would be
folks
great.
send their suggestions to me, and then I could put it back together as an agenda item 2 weeks from now?
Yes,
I
that would be
I can
okay.
ask. Okay, as long as I
You could take
don't.
everybody's suggestions, prepare the guidelines using those suggestions, and bring those back to the council for their approval.
Okay, great.
That'd be
We can
fine.
do that as, all right.
Are those, what you gave as best practices available to us, was that in the packet? I didn't notice it. Okay, all right.
Okay.
I didn't notice that, that's fine.
Okay, cool.
If we have that, then my motion is that we table it until the next meeting, and during that time period, that we submit to the mayor suggestions for language.
Cool. All right. Thank you. We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries. Thank you, sir. All right. Moving forward to item C, consideration and possible action to approve the intergovernmental agreement between the Arizona Department of Transportation and the town of Chino Valley for the maintenance of portions of right-of-way of State Route 89. Mr. Gretman.
Yeah, not this one yet. This IGA is strictly an IGA that ADOT's trying to do to clean up several of them that they have with the town. We have a series of intergovernmental agreements on the signals at Center Street, 1 South, 2 North, so on. We have maintenance agreements with them, and what they're trying to do is consolidate it into one. In short, the town, with this agreement, even though in previous ones, we've tried to put it till the end of the 89 project, if we approve this, we'll take over the maintenance on the median relatively quick. We're not taking over maintenance from Center Street up to 3 North of sidewalk. That is still ADOT's. And we're not taking over maintenance on any curb and gutter throughout all of 89. So basically, from back of curb to back of curb, less the landscape areas of the medians, ADOT will still be responsible for. And all the town's taking responsibility for is what we built in the roundabout, the landscaping we did in the median, and the sidewalk that was put in place along the southern end of town there. This IGA will also cover the new roundabout that will be starting construction in the late summer, early fall at 4 North. Perkinsville Road, because that involves cash, we actually have a separate IGA coming to you at the next council meeting on Perkinsville. So,
Okay. Thank you. And just for clarification purposes, now if there's a tumbleweed growing in the median, it will be the town's responsibility rather than ADOT's, correct?
yes, it will be the town's responsibility. However, I'm aware of several concerned citizens and some local civic groups that will assist and participate with the town in making sure our medians are free and clear of deleterious materials.
All right, thank you.
I don't get to use that word very often, so.
Thank you. I appreciate the use of the word deleterious.
That sounds like undulations.
Yeah, it's like undulations at Undulation Park. Yes, ma'am, you had a question?
If we have volunteer citizens out there pulling weeds and something happens, there's an accident and they get injured,
whose responsibility is it for the insurance to cover them?
When we go out into the medians, I'm speaking to you as a Rotarian now because the Rotary Club has taken that up. When we go out, we do a special event license with ADOT, and we're covered by Rotary's insurance through a 501c3.
Thank you.
Excellent. So if our citizens want to pull tumbleweeds, please join the Rotary Club. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Mr. Town Manager, in the past, when we've done 501c3s, in the ones I was involved in, we did carry our own insurance, and we had to insure each other, but we also had to report the number of volunteers, so they were covered under the workers' comp.
They do.
Yeah, so I believe volunteers may also be covered under our workers' comp. Are they not if they're injured volunteering?
We also document the number of volunteers in our permit applications to ADOT, I believe.
So the median is ours now? We're going to be taking care of it, or is,
Not until you approve this.
okay, so once we approve it, they would be also covered under our workers' compensation if they're working
That's
as a
accurate.
volunteer for the town. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Once again, go to Rotary Club. You can be under their umbrella. Just don't stop your car and run out and grab a tumbleweed. Yes, sir.
I thought back several months ago when we were discussing the roundabouts down 4 South, 4.5 South, all these other, that we had already agreed to some kind of an agreement with the state for maintenance of the median.
Yeah, and that agreement called for the maintenance to begin after the construction of the 89 project. And basically, this IGA will supersede those. The ADOT wants us to take over the medians sooner.
Take over the what?
The medians sooner.
Okay.
There's no money involved?
No cash. I mean, it's just time on our staff's part. We just actually received today, my guys are setting up a complete spray rig that's going to be set up on the back of a trailer that they'll actually be able to take care of spraying the medians, kind of a rolling roadblock, if you will. But we're doing all of this in order to make sure that we have the staffing and the abilities to maintain both the medians and the areas from back of sidewalk back to the right-of-way, back to the fence line. We're going to be spraying those areas pretty heavily to keep weeds down.
Did you have a follow-up question?
I thought there was some kind of an exchange for the millings.
Yeah, that's all in the 4 South, 4.5 South, and the whole, and Kalanich's IGAs, and that was already agreed with by council.
It's all still part of the same IGA.
But in those agreements, the maintenance of the median was, the timing on when the maintenance of the median occurred, when the town took it over, was after the 89 project is complete, all the way down to Deepwell Ranch Road. And ADOT would like us to take it over sooner than that. So that's what this IGA will put us responsible for, the median from 4 South up to Center Street.
Okay.
And we're in agreement with jumping in early.
Well, I mean, I don't know too many people who are going to say that the median over the years that ADOT has been in control of it has looked stellar. And in fact, I think there were times out there where it looked horrible. But we were specifically told by ADOT to stay out of their right-of-way. So we didn't do anything with it. I remember there was a gentleman from Parkside Village who would go out there Sunday evenings, and he would pile weeds as big as this entire room is. But we were precluded from going out there. I believe that this is an appropriate thing for the town to be doing, since it's within our own community, puts us in control of whether it's beautiful or not. And if it's not, you have somebody who can you can look at it and say, fix it.
All right, thank you. If we have lengthy conversations, we need to have those afterwards, but thank you for the points that you brought up. Were there any other questions on this side?
Yeah, over the years, and I know Ron can talk about it, and we've talked about it a lot at Rotary, our citizens have complained about that median out there because ADOT has a very slim crew and they have a large area to cover, so they may be lucky to get around there once a year, maybe twice at the most. So if we can take that over and keep that thing clean, it looks nice coming into town when you have when you have that cleared out, and that's a very important place for people to drive through.
And in the past, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, in the past, ADOT, Vice Mayor Croft is absolutely correct. They actually will get out there and try to maintain that thing maybe once a year. And typically, it's in the springtime when we really don't need it nearly as bad as July, August, and September when the monsoons hit. That's when we get the weeds just popping. And that's why we have purchased a spray rig specifically to go out and deal with those in order to minimize the amount of weeds that we have growing.
Okay, thank you.
I've got
Ms.
a couple of
McKee,
questions here. First, if we don't have, if there are not enough volunteers,
Turn your microphone on, please.
it's on.
Okay.
Yeah. Hello? Do you hear me?
Now we can hear you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry.
It was just too far.
If there are not enough volunteers to keep that, all the weeds down and everything, will you have to hire any additional staff?
No, we won't do it through staff. If we do anything, we'll hire a landscape guy to come in and clean the weeds out, something that we couldn't get to.
That
And
would
if,
be a one or two time thing? Okay. And this other question I have is, on 2D on page 84 of 107, it says about we would be paying the electric bill for the signals and roundabouts. What dollar amount would that come to?
We already pay the signals and the electrical at roundabouts. We already do that right now today. On average, a signal runs right around $1,000 a month in electrical costs. So each one of the signals, we pay right around $12,000 a year in electrical costs associated with each one of the signals. Yeah, they're not cheap.
Now, does the roundabout have, is it going to have lights on the horses at night?
No.
No?
No, ADOT would not allow us to have lights that were shooting up into the air towards the statues. We had that conversation with them, and they said, be happy, we're letting you have horses. And so we didn't push the rest of it, so.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to make the comment that I think if you look at the median right now, it already shows that we can find the volunteers to take care of it, and it looks much nicer than it has in past.
And I really should say, because it's not, while it's done under Rotary, we've had lots of Lions out there. We've had the local Navy Club that meets down at the Checker Aben came out. We've had, I mean, just a tremendous amount of public support. The VFW came out one time. I don't see a problem getting and continuing to get the volunteers. We have a tremendous amount of volunteers who are willing to help us with this. It's just all done, since I'm a Rotarian, and I don't know who fills out the permit. It's just done under what
Okay.
we can do
great,
for the
great.
whole project.
It's-
But it certainly is not just us that does it. We have all the civic groups are involved with this.
Okay. Well, this allows our town to get one more thing under its own control, and that's a good thing. Yes, sir.
Mayor, I just wanted to mention, I remember seeing a question out there, either in the newspaper or online. There is weed cloth under those rocks.
Yes.
You know, when they came in and put that stuff down, they did it the right way. And with the appropriate spraying that Ron is preparing for, we should be able to keep that area looking really nice. So I'm looking forward to being in control of that.
Excellent. All right. If there's no further discussion, the chair would entertain a motion.
Move to approve the intergovernmental agreement between the Arizona Department of Transportation, the town of Chino Valley for the maintenance of portions of the right-of-way of SR 89.
Second.
We have a motion and 2 seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Consideration and possible action to approve change order number 1 to contract with economist.com in the amount of $5,000 to prepare additional analysis on the impacts of the Prescott Water acquisition on future utility rate increases. Funds to come from the professional services line in the Water Enterprise Fund. And for the information of our public, we have had a fairly extensive study session regarding the possible purchase of Prescott's water system in our town, and hopefully gaining control of that little item, which will help us in steering our own destiny. Yes, sir. Mr. Gritman.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. this change order will actually go to Cohen Van Loo. There will be a second change order coming on your next council meeting to economist.com to do the financial analysis that all of this is leading us towards. In short, at the last meeting, while you didn't see this map, you were shown that $1.1 million is needed in order to connect the town's water system into the town of Chino Valley's water system. This map depicts where that 1.1 million goes to. I have a spreadsheet of the whole thing if anybody really wants to see all the numbers outside of Joe. Nobody normally gets excited about spreadsheets. Project F is shown right there on Mahan. It's a pressure reducing valve that will go into the water system that goes into Chino Meadows Unit 1. Chino Meadows Unit 1 is a 1960s development of 6-inch pipe, and it cannot see our system pressure, which in this area right here hovers between 80 and 90 pounds. We'll be popping pipes if we did that. So we'll put a pressure reducing station in there so that they'll see the pressures that they currently see. And then as we do capital projects to replace their infrastructure, we'll be moving this PRV around in order to bring fire hydrants into that area that actually can flow fire flow requirements. At 2 North, there's 2 options. Item C2 is cheaper. However, C1 offers a route that doesn't cross properties that may not be in support of the project. So we've came up with 2 alternatives for it. But what it does is it connects the 12-inch water line that we have at Road 2 North at Walgreens into the top end of the Prescott system, either at Chino Grove or just to the east of that. They have a line that dead ends up there, and we can connect into that, and that will bring water into this entire large area on the left-hand side of your screen, down through Mesa View, down through Molly Ray. All of that will be served by that one connection. We also have a project that will come from Road 1 North down to just south of Center Street that will tie us into all the portions on the east side of Prescott's water system. Down at Road 2 South, I need to explain this. It's a little bit confusing. We actually cross a pressure zone. In the water world, we work with pressures that run between 40 up to 100, 120 psi. When you get over 120, you go into a new pressure zone where you're reducing the pressures back down at 40 on the high end, but at the low end of that pressure zone, you'll be back up to 100, 120. As we go south, we go higher, which means our pressures in our water system get lower and lower and lower. Down at 2 South is where we cross, or in the vicinity just south of 2 South, is where we cross that 40 psi minimum pressure. So we have to put in a booster station. There's a 168,000 gallon tank that will go in at that location. And we have to do a crossing at 2 South. There already is one crossing at 2 South. We're going to do a second one where we have 2 pipes in one carrier pipe, one high pressure, one low pressure. And by doing so, we'll be able to provide a back feed. Forgive me, I don't have my pointer. We'll provide a back feed into this area here. However, we will have to put a check valve right here to make sure that this portion, wagon wheel will need to go on the southern pressure zone, but everything from here north will need to be on the central pressure zone. Comes through right along in here. So Chino Gardens will be on the central pressure zone. Parkside Village will be on the southern pressure zone. Okay? And then it'll give us water. If we're successful in this, it will give us all water. This actually goes down almost a mile to the south, but we're on the west side of 89. As you know, back in 2000, 2001, when the town annexed in Windy Plaza, everything down to Horses with Hearts, the town committed to bringing them water. This will get us water on the east side of 89 at Road 4 South, making a relatively easy capital improvement program to finally fulfill that agreement that is 14 years old.
Okay.
So that's what this change order authorized Cohen Van Loo to go out and create all of this and do cost estimates, and all that gets rolled into Dan Jackson's analysis of the acquisition of the Prescott system.
Okay. Just a brief comment. I find it sad that we have to do a pressure reducing valve on one end of town and we have to have a booster station at the other end, but that's the way it is.
Tanks would help, but the council chose not to put in tanks on the hills off to the east. One step at a time, we will eventually deal with those, but that'll be a few years down the road.
Okay. All right. And so the majority of the work in this change order is they've looked at the cost of acquiring the Prescott water system. Now they're going to be looking at the cost of bringing it up to speed to where we can serve us.
Exactly.
Okay. Any questions on this end? Yes, sir.
I do. So are you saying that theeconomist.com is incorrect on this?
No, this is where the $1.1 million came from.
Okay.
Cohen Van Loo basically jumped, well, at my direction, jumped ahead of the change order in order to get those numbers for Dan's presentation for last week.
Okay.
But this is where the $1.1 million comes from. And again, I have the spreadsheet if council is interested in seeing the exact dollar figures and $50 a foot for piping and everything else.
All right.
If you want to see them.
Yes, sir.
I'll get with you later probably, but when you say the pressure is going to be in the central section, I mean, it's going to be the pressure that we presently have right now?
Yeah, everything that we have in the central zone runs 40 PSI at 2 South. By the time we hit Perkinsville Road, we're hitting right around 120 PSI at the Santa Cruz Wash. So that defines the central pressure zone.
Because I know some of the pressure, especially in Mesa View Estates, it seems to be low. I don't know.
Well, I'm not surprised it more than seems to be.
Okay.
You'll notice on the map here, Cohen Van Loo has identified, they did this for, I want this, oh, here we go. They did this for, the council asked that we look at how could we break the Prescott up and acquire it in separate areas. They have the north zone and the south zone. Everything above that line in the north zone, in that blue line, their system pressure is 30 to 35 PSI. I mean, it's extremely low.
Okay.
Everything on the south side, they run it off of their high-pressure stuff, which is at 350 PSI, which you don't take a shower at 350 PSI. It'll clean you down to the bone. But they run a series of, I think they have like 7 or 8 pressure-reducing valves throughout the town. They run a whole lot of dead-end mains. These are all dead-end mains. Mesa View, Chino Grove, all of those areas are all on a series of 6-inch dead-end mains. That when you're that last house on the end of it, the water's just tired by the time it gets down there. And we are hoping to rectify this by bringing it up into our system. Fortunately, everything on that you see, most of the Chino Grove area was back in the 70s. Granada Estates also back in the 70s. Mesa View is relatively new, back in the 2000s. Molly Ray, 2007 is when they built that subdivision. So it'll be a combination of some old, some new. But the advantage to it is the pipes have been seeing higher system pressures. When pipes see low pressures, valves or gaskets seat at those low pressures. If you just come in and start bumping the pressure up, those gaskets will start popping. That's why we feel it's necessary to put Chino Meadows on its own pressure-reducing valve, so that we're not popping old pipes, old gaskets.
All right. Any other questions from council? Yes, sir.
Parkside Village, you're going to have pressure in there for fire?
Yeah, everything that we have in here will be, will have pressures for fire flow.
Throughout the town?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And
Okay,
just
good.
to let you know, what we meet, everything that we'll be doing is 1,000 to 1,500 gallons a minute sustained for 2 full hours, which is typical commercial fire flows. Residential fire flows are around 500 gallons a minute, and we're going to exceed that big time, so.
Okay. Excellent. All right. If there's no further questions, the chair will entertain a motion.
Move that we approve the I'm one behind. Approve the change order number 1 to contract with economics.com in the amount of $5,000, prepare additional analysis on the impacts of the Prescott water acquisition on the future utility rate increases.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item E, consideration and possible action with regard to the magistrate performance appraisal process. and I'm listed as speaking on this. I'm on the Magistrate Evaluation Committee, but Councilwoman Hatch is the chairperson of that committee. Did you want to address this, or did you just want me to go over what the items are?
It's up to you. I'm perfectly willing to address it if you'd like.
Okay, go ahead and.
All right. As you may know, you have a packet and you have two addendums pertaining to this. The reason for that is that due to my medical appointment, we weren't able to meet on Thursday, so we met on Monday, and that caused a few changes in your items, and I do apologize for it. The Magistrate Evaluation Committee has been considering two things. The first and foremost is that the magistrate's contract expires or ends in June of 2015, and we wanted to stay ahead of the game. So if you look at your addendum item 8E, magistrate evaluation, the thicker one, on the back of the page, you'll see the revised calendar that we set up. It starts at the bottom and goes up. And briefly a summary of the goals and the timeframes we're interested in. We're looking now at sending out evaluations for this year. When the committee discussed it, and on the recommendation of the magistrate, he suggested that when you hire a new magistrate, rather than waiting a full year to do the evaluation, it might be better to do it after about 6 months, which would have us starting the evaluation process in December. And with that, we're going to do the current evaluation now if the council so approves, and then we'll do another one in December. And from here on out, I think we would plan on doing our magistrate evaluations starting each December and receiving them back after the first of the year. So what you have, you can see the dates in 2014. And does anyone have any questions on those dates or guidelines?
Do you have a question, Vice Mayor?
Yeah, is the magistrate on board with this? I know he's always part of your committee. See, he agreed to this?
He did, and he made a lot of the suggestions. For instance, he personally feels that the sitting magistrate, unlike many magistrates, our magistrate feels that the sitting magistrate should indeed compete each time the contract comes up. He feels that it's the right thing to do for the town, and insisted that when we do the RFQ again, that it not be considered an automatic update. What we were shooting for, and last time this happened, we had the help of the staff. Obviously, the court cannot send out the evaluation forms, and the form that we have is in your packet, also in the addendum, and it's on the, I'm sorry, it's in the main packet. And it's, you have the original form that was offered by staff. The one that we use is the last item in the packet, right here. And it has a whole number of categories, and the letter that goes out is at the top. The only change in that, along the title, it says Town of Chino Valley Magistrate Evaluation Form. We're going to change the magistrate evaluation form to the magistrate annual evaluation form so that we don't get a lot of questions about it. We did several groups. It's an anonymous form. To two groups, we sent them out. They were attorneys who have appeared before the court and the pro tem judges who fill in for the judge. We mailed those out last time along with self-addressed stamped envelopes, and we got approximately half of them back. Many of the attorneys who've appeared did not respond. All of the pro tems did. The items hand-delivered, and we need to ask the chief of police if he's wanting to do this again. Last time, the chief of police asked to have a packet, and he handed them out to his officers and returned them in an envelope. The other group that we hand-delivered to is the judicial staff, and they fill them out and put them in a blank envelope. In addition to that, We put blank forms in 2 locations last time, along with a box or an envelope to return the forms, so people in the community could fill them out. And this time, we'd like to put them in 3 places, one being the town hall, the second place being the library, and the third would be at the court itself. So what we need from staff, Mr. Town Manager, and if council so approves, is to have him help us get those evaluation forms sent out to the addresses that we get, and to set up a box or a private envelope. I believe last time Human Resources worked with me on doing that, and setting it up so it remains confidential. When people return them, they go into an envelope. And the judge is going to supply the list of attorneys by Monday, and if we can have someone to work with us, we can start sending those out. We would leave everything out for about 30 days. And according to the schedule, we'd then review them as a committee, and then would bring it forth to the council, and that should probably be an executive session. That's the most immediate item in terms of where we're headed. We had some discussion that we probably need to face later on, and that had to do with, after interviewing for the position for 2015, how to make the offer. We discussed whether or not we should handle it, have a staff member or potentially our town attorney do it, and what we would do. There's an allowance in your schedule in case the first person turns it down. So what we'd like to do is probably, as things move along, have these preset in our council meetings so that we don't miss a deadline and get caught like we did last time behind the times. So basically, that's what we have. If you have any, did I cover everything, Mr. Mayor?
You did. I just wanted to speak to our audience whenever you're all done.
Go ahead.
Okay. Also wanted to encourage our audience, if you have had any interaction with our town magistrate, these forms will be available at the court, here at the town hall, and at the library. And if you've had any interaction with our magistrate court, please feel free to fill those out. We want input from the citizens as well as the folks in the professions that deal with it. Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Mayor, I apologize. I forgot the main addition that the judge asked us to include. He felt it important to have goals, and so along with that, in the first addendum, you have the set of goals. You have a summary on the first page of the goals that they've set up for this year. That's followed by more specific information on each of the tasks. There was a typographical error on the original Gantt chart, so you have a second chart with dates and such with the correction. So we will be evaluating them in December on how well they meet those goals in addition, but he feels it's an important process of the review. And that is to have each judge set out their goals, and we would use that as part of our evaluation.
You bet. And he asked our council to be thinking about if we have any input towards the magistrate, things that we would like to see as far as goals are concerned. I told him at our magistrate meeting that it would be, the council would probably not have any immediate input, but I would ask you to be thinking on it. Okay.
Yeah. In addition, Jamie submitted our history to the League of Cities at their request, and they were happy with what we submitted to them, or very, very happy.
Excellent.
So we've done a lot of work on this. We based this evaluation on the American Bar Association guidelines. So
Okay, cool.
I guess we just need direction to staff to work with us, or whatever, you know. Or if you approve or want any changes, we'll so entertain them.
Did anyone have any questions on this side? No. Any questions on this side?
Pretty intensive. Good work.
All right.
That's good.
Okay. Let's go ahead and have a motion to, if you would, to direct staff.
Move to approve magistrate evaluation calendar process and forms as presented as, or as modified, and with the support of staff.
Okay, excellent. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. chair would now entertain the motion to adjourn.
Recommend motion to adjourn.
All right,
Second.
we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned.